Do I need an extra light? All right, we're good. Okay, everybody. Well, this is the live stream on the Electric Mini, and we're going to get started in a bit. I'm going to see if a few more people are going to trickle in here. But if you haven't already read the video or seen the pictures, the 2020 Mini Cooper SE was leaked recently. The completely undisguised car was leaked, and it's a pretty interesting looking vehicle. It definitely has a few of the design characteristics that we were expecting to see for the production car, and quite a few that are not on the production car that we were hoping we would see. So it's an interesting situation to actually see the car completely unmasked and realize that it is basically, yeah, leak the GP3. That I'm sure is coming, Dean, but we'll have to wait on that one. But like it or not, the Cooper SE electric car has been leaked, and what are your thoughts on it? I mean, it's an interesting looking vehicle. It's not as dynamic as I was expecting. I was expecting something a little bit more crazy as far as minis are going. That being said, while I'm waiting for a few more people to trickle in, I've noticed my lighting in here is a little crazy. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can get this to get rid of the glare. Oh, well. I think I shut this one off. We'll have to deal with it, I think. I guess we're going to have to deal with it. I'm trying to fix the lighting. Hey, Mark. But anyway, I'm sure quite a few of you have seen the photos of the new Electric Mini, and for those of you who haven't seen them yet, go back and watch my video that I posted yesterday where I showed you every single photo that I was able to find on the car. Short of actually seeing the car driving, that's the best I could do at this point in time. But anyway, yeah. So we're probably going to be seeing the electric instrument, or the digital instrument panel or instrument cluster in the car. We're going to be seeing an automatic transmission, I'm sure. And I think someone was disappointed that there was not going to be a manual version of it or even a high performance version of it. But I mean, so far it's not terrible looking. It's just kind of funky. It's another one of the same scenarios where they had with the last Electric Mini, which I think had a range of 90 miles, where they it came out and it looked like a cross between a Cooper and a Cooper S. The only difference between that one and the current generation is they were actually able to keep it as a 4-passenger vehicle rather than a 2-passenger vehicle like the previous one. But yeah, so styling-wise, we're looking at a car that looks very much like a Cooper or Cooper S. We're not looking at anything as dynamic as the concept car. That being said, I don't think the concept vehicle actually had an electric powertrain in it when they showed it. I think it was just a display vehicle, as it were. I'm actually kind of a little disappointed with the Electric Mini. I know I shouldn't say that as someone who is a big fan of the brand and a big fan of Mini, but I am actually a little disappointed. I was expecting them to go a little bit more extreme with it. And I was expecting to see a 200 mile range on the car. Instead, we got 120 miles, which I'm not sure if any of you out there know anything about other electric cars. Maybe you know what the range is on, like, for example, the Nissan Leaf or some other electric cars out there. But what I mean, aside from Tesla, which is ridiculous, but 120 miles for range on an Electric Mini versus, say, 300 miles of range on Tesla or 250 miles of range on Tesla. I would have liked to have seen at least 200 miles on the Electric Mini. But, I mean, as far as mileage is concerned, it's a decent commuter car. If you're going to be in the city or within a metro area, that's a pretty decent scenario if you're going to commute around town. As far as long trips are concerned, I don't think we've hit the point yet where we can do long trips with an Electric Mini. So that might be something we're going to have to wait for another time when they finally do manage to offer that. But what are some of your thoughts on it? Do you have any questions on the Electric Mini? Anything you want to share about it? Your perspective on the car? I'm trying to get some perspective from other people who have looked at the car, because I don't want just to have my opinions on the vehicle. I want to hear yours as well. But while I'm waiting on that, I can give you a few stats on the vehicle. So if you haven't watched the previous videos, it's going to have 181 horsepower electric motor out of the BMW i3S. It's going to have 94 8H 33 or what is it, 94 AH? I don't know what that is. 33 kilowatt battery. The entire battery system in the car weighs 441 extra pounds. So that's the equivalent of having 2 grown adults in the vehicle. We're also looking at a perfect 50-50 weight distribution, which is kind of cool. Someone mentioned to me the other day that they thought the car looked like it sat a little high. I believe the reason for that is because they used suspension components out of the Clubman and the Countryman, according to what I was reading, and also I guess just to hold the battery weight, as it were. But also the reason it looks high, I just realized as I was looking at some pictures recently, is because there's no engine in the front of the car, so the car would ride a little higher, because I believe the weight distribution in the normal Mini is about 60-40. Is the charging hardware adaptable to charging stations you see at various stores? Mark, I would imagine that it would be adaptable. I imagine it's the same charging. It's really the same charging systems I think you find at most electric car charging stations. As far as normal outlet charging, for example, if you're going to charge it at home, you can charge it in a normal outlet between 8 and 12 hours, unless you have one of those crazy quick charger things at your house. And then, in which case, I believe they said a quick charger level 2 is about 4 to 5 hours, and a 50 kilowatt DC charger can charge it up to 80% in about 40 minutes. But I believe it will be charging as far as the charging hardware at charging stations. I believe it's the same stuff. I believe it's the same plug that you find on the current Countryman hybrid. So it should charge at the same stations. I believe even the Teslas can charge at those stations, and I think even most electric cars can charge at Tesla stations. So I don't think it's going to be much difference between those. I did also notice on the new electric car, it did have kind of something crazy I had seen before. I didn't realize the gas cap was so large on that. Well, it's not even a gas cap. It's where the charging cable plugs into. But I was like, it was just a really large flap for that charging port. It just looked really strange to me. It almost made the car look a little bit more, I don't know what's the right words for it, cartoonish even, a little bit strange. And I apologize if my eye keeps doing this weird twitch thing, but I've been dealing with allergies out here in Kansas, and it is just crazy. As far as 0 to 60 time, I did finally get a 0 to 62 time on the electric Mini. It's going to have 7.7 seconds. That puts it around, Cooper mileage, or a Cooper 0 to 60 time. So it's about as fast as it's about as fast as a Cooper. So it's not going to be, we're not looking at a car. It's going to be incredibly quick. Range mileage. Okay, range mileage, you're looking at about 200. As disappointing as this sounds, Martin, we're looking at 120 miles of range on this car. I was hoping for 200 miles of range. I was hoping for 150, but this car is going to be more of like a city car kind of thing that you could commute around town kind of deal. So I don't expect it to be something you could go significant long distance. I mean, you could do 40 miles out and 40 miles back, 50 miles out, 50 miles back, 60 miles out and 60 miles back would be a bit of a stretch just in case you might run into traffic or something. So the 120-mile range, I mean, if you're going to commute to work and back, that's not a bad deal. I mean, you drive it to work, plug it in, and you go to work, and then when you're done for the day, you unplug it and you drive home. So not a big deal there. But the range is a little on the disappointing side. That being said, I think they're working with very limited technology because, as you all know, the current generation of Mini wasn't designed to be an electric car, whereas the 4th generation that they're working on developing with Great Wall Motors in China is going to be a car that's designed to be an electric car, even though they're going to offer internal combustion engines and a hybrid powertrain as well as the electric. But the current generation of Mini was not designed to be an electric car, so they had to basically take this car and re-engineer it in order to make it an electric car. So it's a bit of a convoluted, kind of crazy way that they did it, but they managed to do it and they managed to get to work. KC to St. Louis is out, yeah. In city only, unless, yeah, Mark, the hybrid would probably be better for that trip. And I don't know about other electric cars, like for example Tesla. I don't know if you could even drive a Tesla from Kansas City to St. Louis. I don't know, the range is not good enough. Excuse me. But as far as city driving goes, it's not bad in that regard. Now, whether it's I don't know whether it's a good idea. It's going to be interesting. I don't even know what markets they're going to put the car in. If you remember some of you might remember the last Mini E or electric car that they did. I think they had a leasing program with it, and they kind of put it at the East Coast and West Coast markets. And this car is supposedly going to be something that will be sold at all markets, so you'll be able to buy it in any market. That being said, I imagine that the markets in the city would probably be better. Martin, as far as price, last I checked, they were looking at $29,000 American dollars. So that would probably put it at the 23,000 pound range if you're in UK, maybe 25,000 maybe 24 or 25,000 euros. I'm not exactly sure on the exchange rates. I did hear someone say that it's going to be that they were looking at it priced at 33,000 pounds, which I think is ridiculous. That's a little overpriced for this car, but it could end up being that expensive. But $29,000 puts it at the same price as a base Mini Cooper S, really. I mean, there's one at the local mini lot that's a Mini Cooper S automatic. Well, it's not automatic; it's a manual, but it's 28,000. So with an automatic, we'd be looking at 29,000. So you're looking at about $29,000 right now, is what I heard. Although I've heard it could be lower, it could be higher. It really just depends on when it comes out. Depends on popularity as well. I imagine some markets, if it's really, really popular in those markets, there could be an upcharge. I imagine the California market, in California, they may actually increase the price out there because apparently some dealerships out there like to price gouge. I'm not going to name dealerships. I've just heard this from people I talk to who live out in California and have bought minis from the dealerships out there. But I'm hoping that the mini dealerships out there don't price gouge, because that's a little dishonest, especially for the higher end popular cars. But I'm hoping they sell them at the reasonable price, which is what they should if they are a corporately owned dealership. I see the message was retracted. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to be terribly cheap, and it's not going to be terribly expensive as far as cars go. But $29,000 for an electric car, I don't know what the price of I don't know. Does anyone know what the price is on for example, a Nissan Leaf? No problem, Martin. Let's see. I'm going to check here the price on a Nissan Leaf. We're looking at. Okay, so it's well. All right. Well, I just got the specs here on my phone here. I just got the specs for the Nissan Leaf, and the range on this car is 151 to 215 miles battery only. Is the Nissan Leaf no, it's not a hybrid. So we're looking at 151 to 215 miles of range. Starting price is $29,990 on it, and total range in electric is 124 city, 99 highway. So this car, that pretty much makes this Mini actually comparable to a Nissan Leaf. So that could be an interesting road test comparison between the Nissan Leaf and the Mini Cooper SE. So that was something I did not know. But yeah, apparently the range of 120 miles is actually relatively comparable, which is not bad. What about the BMW i3S? i3S. Well, naturally, the BMW i3S is ridiculously expensive, $44,450. But the i3S is also a hybrid, not an electric car. Apparently, it is a hybrid. So, well, it's not. I don't know. It says it's not a hybrid. All right. Well, it's going to be comparable to most electric cars then, except for Teslas, obviously. But we're looking at 120 mile range. We're looking at 100 miles per hour top speed, and we're looking at 0 to 62 in 7.7 seconds. So it's not going to be terrible, but it's not going to be quick either. So, any other questions on the electric? What do you think of the styling on it, possibly? And let's see what Mark had to say here. Until this technology increases the range, I'm thinking the hybrid will sell better. Can't see you driving it in West Texas. Yeah, I can't imagine you'd be driving it in Texas. The range just wouldn't work. The problem with electric technology is we're still limited as far as battery technology is concerned. We're still very limited on where we can take it. So you could have a battery that gives you 300, 400 miles of range, but you'd still have to charge it. That being said, if we could get a car that had a 400 to 500 mile range battery and you charged it every night when you went home, then you could pretty much drive it indefinitely and never have to recharge it, because you'd be recharging every time you're at home. But I mean, we're still limited on cross-country driving with a electric car. So we're gonna talk about the electric another 5 minutes or so, and then I'm thinking we switch over and talk about another 4 minutes or so, and then I think we switch over and talk about anything else we want to discuss. I know someone was curious about the GP3. I know Dean was curious about GP3 if he's still in here. And hey, Ignited Garage, welcome to the live stream. Feel free to add anything you want to add here if you know anything about the electric Mini that's coming out, or if you know anything about electric cars in general. But anyway, what do we got going on here? What do you all think of the styling of the electric Mini? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's bad? Do you think they should have gone further with it, made it more unique, made it more extreme? I personally think they could have gone a little further with it. They could have made it crazier. Not crazier, but they could have made it more dynamic and something that would have been more interesting to look at. Instead, it may just blend in with all the other Cooper S's on the lot. I mean, aside from the new wheels they put on the car, which are interesting, and some of the yellow accents on the car, which were pretty much a given, I imagine it's not going to look quite as cool as it could have looked. See, what we still don't know about the car is what the rear valance is going to look like. They have that completely obscured, and I think it's going to probably look like another Cooper S, or possibly they might even use the JCW rear valance for all I know. They seem to be mixing parts with the car already. I think the only reason they covered up the rear valance actually was to hide the fact that it doesn't have tailpipes. I don't think it had anything else to do with styling or anything like that. I think it was just so people didn't know that was the electric Mini, even though the styling on the car was kind of a dead giveaway that it was the electric car. But yeah, so that was the way that car ended up getting leaked. I was rather disappointed with it, but what else could we discuss tonight? I think the wheels. Did you see the pictures of the wheels, Timothy? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on them? I know they're cool. Yeah, they're interesting looking. I think someone said was it you or someone else that said that they looked like a 3-pronged plug? And for those of you, I don't have a way of putting pictures up on the screen, but I imagine you all can see that. So these are what the wheels look like. So it wasn't you, it was someone else. So these are what the wheels look like, as you can see. And they kind of look like a 3-prong plug, actually. They look like a 3-prong, like European plug or something. But also, I mentioned that gas cap earlier. That's rather a large gas cap. This is the gas cap in question. As you can see, it looks a little bit bigger than the standard one. One of these days, I'm going to find a way to put up pictures as they pop up right here. But in the meantime, I'm working with what I got. But as you can see, also with the front styling, it does kind of mimic the car, or it does kind of mimic the concept car here. But it really just looks like they plugged the front grille. I mean, it's going to be an interesting vehicle. I'm looking forward to driving it myself. I actually want to take it out for a test drive to see what I think of it. But it should be interesting. But I'm going to change gears here on the talk on the car, and we've done about 20 minutes talking on the electric car. So if no one else wants to discuss that car, what are your thoughts? Anyone want to chat about the GP3? Since I know you all seem to love either electric cars or John Cooper Works. So seems like I have two very hot topics on my channel lately, and that's been anything John Cooper Works and anything electric. Or I could go into a discussion on R53s. Watch the board light up completely. For those of you who don't know, I do have an R53 JCW video coming up that you might get a kick out of, and it's actually a definitive guide on the entire R53 generation JCW. So that should be an interesting video for you all. I also have a hybrid video challenge or hybrid challenge I did that's coming up if it hasn't already been posted. There's tons of videos coming up. I have maybe 10 videos in the queue already that you guys haven't seen yet that I'm hoping you're gonna love. And if you don't love them, I imagine you will show me that by not watching them. But some videos are kind of my channel is kind of hit or miss. I sometimes get videos that are either really, really good, or I get videos that are really, really bad. BMW i3 with range extender I see goes for 200 miles. That I feel is acceptable for range. Okay, yeah, I would agree with you on that with the range on the i3. I'm hoping that possibly they'll do a range extender upgrade for the Mini Cooper SE when it comes out. And I'm hoping that that's probably why they'll try to get you the 200-mile range on it. I think the reason that people originally thought 200 miles was because that's what the range is on the i3, and we were told that that's what they're using for the powertrain for the Mini Cooper SE was the i3 powertrain. So everyone initially assumed 200 miles. So it's a little disappointing that they're starting off with 120, but I'm hoping with a range extender that they may actually get it to 200 miles, which would be fantastic, actually. But we'll see what happens with that. I imagine it's going to be a upgrade that they'll do at some point when the car is out on the market. And I imagine it would probably be the following model year, because I'm sure, like most cars, that the first year of production, there's going to be a few bugs to work out. So we'll see how that works. What I don't know, actually, is I didn't actually check this. I don't know if they're going to build the car in the Oxford plant or if they're going to build it at the Nedcar plant in the Netherlands. Or they might build it in China. I've heard that since they partnered with Great Wall out there, but I think that's for the second. I think that's for the 4th generation electric. So I don't think that's for the current one. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But what else is there going on with that car? That is pretty much everything that there is for that electric car. There is really not much else to be said on it. I mean, I wish I had more news on the electric Mini. I wish I had some really good news on some cool reveal news for the GP3, but that's kind of slow in coming out, and I feel like that they might actually be a little slow in revealing that car, which is incredibly disappointing. But that's how Mini is. I'm a little surprised they even leaked photos of the. I don't know how they leaked photos of the electric Mini, unless that was intentional or they had no choice in the matter. But it just seems funny that we suddenly find pictures of that car up on the middle of up on the news, and we weren't even sure what the car actually looked like. Although I pretty much had a feeling the car was going to look like a cross between a Cooper and a Cooper S. Although I also was hoping for the possibility it would look like a JCW, but. I think we all got a little disappointed there with that. I still think the wheels are kind of funky. That's an interesting one. What do y'all think of the new mirrors? This is supposedly going to be on the upcoming 300 horsepower JCW Clubman, as well as the upcoming 2020 refresh of the Mini Clubman. But they revamped the mirrors on the car, and they're kind of I would say they're kind of a hit or miss, but I'll let you be the judge. Let you all be the judge. So these are the new mirrors, and as you can see, the contour lines right there that move here and here. Redid the mirrors in the car, changed the look on them, and it's rather strange looking, actually. You prefer the iconic Mini mirrors? Yeah. I do as well, Timothy. The funny thing about the iconic Mini mirrors is they're actually is the 3rd gen and 2nd gen mini mirrors were based off of the 1st gen mini mirrors, which were actually Rovers. I believe they were Rover 75 mirrors. So if you ever get online, look up the Rover 75. The mirrors are pretty much identical, which is really kind of funny if you think about it. So I'm a little so basically Rover kind of just picked from their parts bin when they were building the 1st gen mini. So that was kind of an interesting little piece of trivia for you all, because I didn't know that until I was talking to a friend of mine who has a dad from England, and he is talking about how, like, oh, they mixed parts around. Yeah. Another funny thing about the well, Timothy, since you were asking the question about the mirrors, let me let you know about this. The 3rd gen mini mirrors, there's actually almost nothing inside of the housing, because they all have the same mirror system, or same mirror cap system. So there's nothing inside that cover really. So they could flatten them out if they really wanted to. But the 2nd gen mirrors, actually, if you had power fold mirrors on the 2nd gen mini, the mirror caps were bigger. They were actually larger than the 2nd gen mirror. They're larger than the manual fold mirrors, and the tabs inside of the covers are in a different location too. So something random that I learned about the car, because I accidentally tried to put power fold mirror caps on my car once and it didn't work. But the 3rd gen mirrors, though, they're identical, and aside from the ones that have the mini LED projector, they have a hole drilled into the driver's side cap, courtesy light basically. So it's it projects the mini logo on the ground. It's a little courtesy light. But they redesigned the mirror caps, and kind of a hit or miss kind of thing. Are there power folding mirrors on the F56? Yes, there are power folding mirrors on the F56 if you have that as an option. If you don't have it as an option, then they don't fold. But you'll be able to tell if you have power fold on your F56, because if you get inside next to the slider button on the door where you would adjust your switch whichever mirror you want to adjust the settings on, there's a button. If you push it, it folds in the mirrors. Not sure if that's the case in Canada. I don't know about the Canadian market or the UK market even, but I imagine the Canadian market's probably similar to the UK market, at least as far as some of their cars are concerned. But I don't know for sure. I imagine if it's not a well, no, it might not be a standard piece of equipment for your market. It's not a standard piece of equipment in the US market. It's an option. It's optional. But yeah. So it might be. I think it is. I want to say that it is. Thought I heard that they weren't available in the Canadian market, but I could be wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Timothy. I would take a look, see if it is an option or if it's standard. Well, see if it's an option or standard or something like that. I could double check on the UK. I could double check on the Canadian mini configurator, see if I can get power fold mirrors, but it would be interesting if they weren't an option in the UK or in Canada. That would be strange, because I thought options were pretty much consistent in North American markets. You'll check the configurator? All right. Well, you head over and check the configurator, and I'll stay here and keep talking. But got about 6 people in here. Did you see the production video? The production video for the electric Mini? I have not seen if you're talking about that car, I have not seen a video on it yet. But I imagine as soon as I find one, I have access to the press club for BMW corporate, the Mini Electric. Okay, I haven't seen the production video on that car yet, but as soon as Mini UK YouTube. All right. Well, I imagine that video is on the press club's website at some point as well. And as soon as I see it, I'll head over there and I'll probably post it up for you guys to watch as well on the channel for those of you who haven't seen it yet. But no, I haven't seen the video yet on that. I've seen the video of the concept car, but I have never seen the video on the current production Mini Electric. It's just 36 minutes. Wow. Oh, 36 seconds. Okay. I was going to say 36 minutes. That's a long video. 36 seconds. Yeah. Oh, you're fine, Jose. That's fine. 36 seconds. that might be that might be something I'll throw in on another video down the road, just so you guys can watch it. But what I try to do with the press club stuff that I have access to is when I post those videos, you'll notice the difference between the videos I post and the videos press club has. Is I have access and permission to post those. So if you see something that looks like it's really, really well produced, chances are good I didn't produce it. Chances are good I actually have the video, I have access to the video, and I was able to share it with you guys. But if it's something like what I'm doing right here, or if you see my GoPro stuff or whatever I film on this, then that's something that I produced. But a lot of the high text, a lot of the real cinematic stuff that you see, it's videos that that Mini Corporate allows me to use for my channel. They allow most YouTubers and people in the media are allowed to use those videos for their own channels to share the information out there with everyone, because it benefits the brand to share it with as many people as possible. So if I'm posting a video that Mini Corporate produced so you guys can see it, it benefits them. And it kind of helps my channel. It looks pretty cool. I like sharing the corporate videos because I think they're interesting, and it allows me to add a little extra content and make something interesting I can talk with you guys about. So, but yeah, I'll have to head over there and watch the video on the electric Mini when I get a chance to. I did see the video that they did and I shared it with you all, the video on the 2020 John Cooper Works Clubman. That was an interesting video. And the 2020 Mini Clubman as well. So lots of new things coming up for Mini. I did recently learn, and I'll share this with you all, some of you had heard a story that Mini was pulling the plug on manual gearboxes in the US for a short period of time. And it has to do with a calibration issue with emissions. So they're temporarily pulling the plug on the manual gearbox for maybe 1 to 4 months. Don't see powerful mirrors on the Canadian configurator. Okay, well, I guess there's no powerful mirrors on the configurator for Canada. But anyway, back to what I was just talking about. So the U.S. market is going to be losing manual gearboxes for possibly 1 to 4 months. And also, there's going to be some cars that are losing the manual gearbox entirely for the U.S. market. And those are the Mini Cooper S Clubman All 4, which will be automatic only. The Mini Cooper S Countryman All 4, which will be automatic only. The JCW Clubman and Countryman are going to be automatic only, 8-speed automatic. And the John Cooper Works Convertible, oddly, is going full automatic only. And I imagine it's going to use an 8-speed automatic as well. Or it might use a 6-speed automatic. I really don't know yet. As far as cars that are actually leaving the U.S. market, I just found out recently that the Cooper Clubman and the Cooper Clubman All 4 are being pulled from the U.S. market. So we will not be getting, at least in the U.S. market, we will not be getting a manual gearbox, Cooper manual or automatic gearbox, Cooper Clubman or Cooper All 4 Clubman. They're pulling that out of the U.S. market. I don't know specifically why. I guess just they don't sell as well as the 4-cylinder all-wheel drives. Who knows? But it's a little disappointing to see those cars leave because I thought they were actually pretty decent. That being said, as far as the Clubmans are concerned, I typically would go for an all-wheel drive version, and so I don't even know why they would bother keeping around the front-wheel drive version unless there's just a reason for it. But yeah, so they are pulling some cars from the U.S. market, and they are pulling some transmission choices from the U.S. market. But we also are getting, during that time that they temporarily have the manual gearbox gone, we're getting the 7-speed DCT on the Cooper S. So the Cooper S hardtop, 4-door hardtop, and convertible are all going to be getting an optional DCT 7-speed dual clutch transmission, which will be pretty cool. In place of the automatic. Well, yeah, it's going to be in place of the automatic, oddly, because it's supposed to replace the automatic transmission, not the manual. But anywho, it's a little disappointing to see some things get taken away. I was a little surprised with the news that Mini was doing. But anyway, I want to shift gears again on this. I want to talk about what are your thoughts on since we were talking about the electric Mini, what are your thoughts on the Mini brand possibly going full electric in the future? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Do you think Mini would be doing a terrible thing by making their cars full electric, like all of them electric? Or do you think it's a good thing for the brand? Do you think it's a good thing for the future of the brand? Because it seems like with a lot of car companies, they seem to think that electric is the way of the future, and I'm kind of disagreeing with that. I think that putting all your eggs in one basket and going full electric would actually be a disservice to the brand, and possibly it would kill off the enjoyment of the brand with folks out there who prefer their gas engines. All with hybrids might be okay. Yeah, I think a hybrid. Well, see, Timothy, that's the thing. That was the thing with what Mini was talking about with the, but not full electric. Yeah, that's the thing they were talking about with the 4th generation Mini, is they were talking about designing it to be a full-on electric car, but they're going to make it a full electric car, but have 3 powertrains. So the 4th generation Mini, you'll be able to get electric, gas, and hybrid. Will be really good because a lot of countries don't let sell cars with gas or diesel. Okay, well, I understand that, Jose. I think that would at 2030, yeah. I think in that point, I think depending on the market, it might not be a bad idea to have that ability, because I know there's some places where internal combustion engines are actually forbidden. I know there's some tropical islands, and there's some countries that they're looking at doing that, and I think even some inner cities they're talking about pulling out gas engines completely, so everything would be electric or hybrid, even because hybrid cars run in electric mode when they're at slower speeds. But for those markets, I could see it being a beneficial thing. But for markets where we have lots of longer stretches of road and further distances apart, I imagine that the internal combustion engine is still going to be around for a long period of time. I'd miss the pops and burbles from the exhaust too. I almost think they'd have to find some way of programming them back into the car. We'd have electronic fake pops and burbles. That would be well, BMW already kind of does that with their cars, because they have to fake the fact that they have cool sounding exhaust by piping sound into the cars. At least that's what they do with those cars. I don't know what Mini does, but as far as I know, Mini still just has the normal sound effects out the back of your tailpipe when you open your windows. But yeah, with some markets, I think it's electric. Electric's going to be the way of the future, but for other markets, I think we still need to at least have multiple choices for powertrain. Okay, Timothy says, Mini for me has always been about customization and choice, so I wouldn't want to have to choose a full electric. So depending on your need, so basically what we're saying here is if they do the thing they're talking about where they have, oh, hey, George, I want one. I only have a 30-mile round trip. Okay, so you could do a handle electric. But what Timothy's saying here is he wants the ability to choose, and Mini is about customization and being able to choose and choice and the whole unification thing with the car. So I imagine the way we want the Mini to be is if we're going to have a choice in powertrains in the 4th generation Mini, that we're going to be able to choose between electric. If I'm going to be driving in the city all the time, I'd want electric car, I guess, because I'm not going to be able to need gas that often. If we're going to be doing a little bit of both, now I might want the hybrid. I might want to be able to travel travel further distances and not have to rely solely on electric car. Now, there are some of us out there who still want our internal combustion still want our internal combustion engines, like myself, and I would probably still get the gas engine alternative because I get too much anxiety already from running low on fuel. Last thing I need is to run low on electricity. So that wouldn't be fun for me. But having 3 choices in fuel, or 3 choices in engine or propulsion systems on the cars, and then on top of that, you have suddenly all of your infinite customization as far as accessories and options and stripes and mirror caps and you name it on these cars. So being able to do all that while having the same time 3 different powertrains and the manual transmission, DCT, automatic, you name it. So having all those options, it's going to increase the brand. That being said, I also think Mini needs to work on affordability, because if you've all noticed, Mini has gotten incredibly expensive. For example, there was I remember a fully loaded 2013. All right, Timothy, I'll see you later. But let me give you an example here on expensive for the brand. I remember a 2013 Mini Cooper with a John Cooper Works exterior appearance package, Recaro racing seats. It was fully loaded, minus the sunroof, and it had a price of $26,000. Well, $27,000. That same car today is about $37,000. So between the first gen and the second gen, the car jumped by 10 grand with those same options. If you were to spec it out the same way. That same car in the first gen, the R50, would have probably been about $19,000, perhaps 19, 20. So the cars have gotten a lot more expensive, and they're about to get even more expensive when we're talking about the 300 horsepower John Cooper Works GP. We're talking about the GP3, the Clubman, the Countryman. We're talking about cars that might hit the $60,000 range, which is insane for a Mini. I mean, it's crazy as far as I'm concerned, but I just think it's gotten to the point where they might have gotten a little too expensive. I almost think Mini needs to find a way to go back to the more affordable cars that they had. Because I remember my first generation Mini, I had an R53, my first Mini, and it was fully loaded, and it cost brand new $26,000. And that was considered a lot of money. That was considered a lot of money in 2006 when it was new, but that same car today would be $36,000. So it's already gone up substantially between the first gen and the second gen. So what happened? They made the car more expensive. They based it off of the UKL1 and UKL2 platforms. So they had to try to find a way to craft this new Mini around a BMW platform, and that made the car more expensive. If they had just kept going with the Rover platform, well, the car probably wouldn't have gotten more expensive, but we'd be still working with an older platform and the older engines and all that stuff. So they wanted to make the car newer, and we had to go to what we have now. So what we have now are Minis where you can spec them out with every single option and get into the $40,000 range or $50,000 range. So we might be heading into the $60,000 range with the next generation Mini, or with the not next generation. We might be heading into the $60,000 range with the next series of John Cooper Works when those come out. Which I'm not sure if I'm going to spend $60,000 on a Mini like two for $30,000 a piece. But I'm sure there's somebody out there that's willing to spend $60K on a brand new car, and probably a brand new Mini. The used market is a great way to buy a Mini. You can get F-Series for under 20. Yeah, I've encountered let me tell you this, George. I had the opportunity, after my car accident last year, I had the opportunity to buy a 2015 John Cooper Works hardtop. The only reason I didn't buy it is it was an automatic, but it was fully loaded. The price on that car was $20,000, and it had 59,000 miles on it. But $20,000 for a John Cooper Works F56, and I spent $20,000 on a John Cooper Works R55. So I could have gone for the newer one, but then I probably would have been disappointed because I would have had an automatic transmission, and you all would have not been watching this channel, because who watches a Mini enthusiast with a manual with an automatic transmission? I'm just kidding, but either way, it still would have been disappointing if they had changed it. Or if I had, it might have been disappointing if I had gone the other way. But it would have been interesting having an F56, because I do like the car. I'm probably one of the few people out there who actually does like the F56. I know there's some people out there who hate the F56, but I actually do kind of like it. I like how they drive, but it might be because I'm getting older. I just like how they drive. And it also still had a little bit of the factory. That one still had a little bit of the factory warranty as well as a maintenance plan. But we're running a little long in the tooth here, and I'm trying to keep these under an hour, because last time we've kind of run incredibly long. But if there's no other questions, I'm going to wrap this up today, and I'm going to try to set up another live stream next week on Tuesday at 8 p.m. and also probably, well, I might do one Tuesday. Might do one Tuesday, might do one Thursday, and it'll be at 8 p.m. again as well. And I think I might limit it to life is too short to drive an automatic. I agree, George. Life is too short to drive an automatic. But yeah, I'm going to try to limit these. My goal in the future is try to limit these live streams to about 45 minutes or so to kind of keep it concise. And I'm also looking at possibly limiting them to maybe once or twice a week. So I might do them on my plan is to do them Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm looking at Tuesday or Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time. I may actually just start doing them on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Central Time, so it keeps it consistent with just being one. And my goal for the live streams is to be able to discuss with you guys the videos that were previous to the live stream, as well as any Mini Cooper news that might pop up, and any questions you might have about minis or anything in general like that. But before I let you all go, who remembers this little blast from the past? And if you know what this means, defy labels. That was that was their ad slogan at one point. But anyway, I'm gonna let you all go as it's past 45 minutes, and I'm gonna wrap this up so you guys can get on with your evening. But thanks for watching. As always, I upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m. And I have another one coming up this Friday that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. And until next time, I'm going to remind you all, as always, that life is too short to drive a boring car, so drive a Mini. I will catch you all later. Have a fantastic evening or morning or afternoon, whatever part of the world you're in. I'm signing off. You all will have a good day.